Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 좋은 오후. Going to be looking at the PsyOptions and Tap Finance announcement. This is very interesting. This is less than a day old. 이거 하루도 안 됐는데 결과가 되게 재밌어요. So the implications of this is very interesting. So if you're like me and you've been keeping up with everything going on in Solana, uh, then you probably want to tune in, right? 저처럼 이거 Solana 이제 소식 잘 보는 사람들은 이거 꼭 보고 싶을 거예요. So we'll start with the actual announcement. 이제 여기 발표로 갈게요. Tap Finance is joining forces with PsyOptions. 이제 얘네들이 이제 동업하게 됐고, it's been an eventful 4 months since the Tap team had the idea for bringing structured products to Solana. 이제 얘네들이 구조종 상품 이제로 시작했고, since then we've been pretty busy. We participated in the hackathon, launched on mainnet. 이제 hackathon 참가했고, mainnet도 출시했고, shipped 7 different vaults. 이제 vault 여기 시작했고, and delivered positive yield to our users in every single strategy we ran. 이제 수익도 이제 투자자들이 벌고 있어요. Over the same period, we spent a lot of time with the PsyOptions team. Besides code reviews and strategies sessions, the PsyOptions team shared with us their vision of building a single platform where users can earn yield through option strategies and trading options. 이제 옵션 거래하면서 이제 이런 그 전략 그 옵션 전략 사용하면서 이제 얘네들이 탑 파이낸스 창립자들이 개발자들이 이제 PsyOptions 팀이랑 친해졌어요. 이제 얘네들이 개발하면서 왜냐면 물론 PsyOptions은 여기 이제 DeFi primitive이고 여기 기본 레이어니까 그 탑 파이낸스 여기 위에 만드니까 물론 이제 PsyOptions이랑 친하게 지내졌어요. Alright, so clearly they've been getting pretty close to the PsyOptions team as PsyOptions is their primitive, right? So it makes sense that uh, they're pretty close to each other, right? Ultimately, we were convinced that bringing Tap into the side DAO would create better yields for our users through enhanced bid quoting and allow us to scale to provide an even wider range of structured products. 이제 결국 얘네들이 이제 이 탑 파이낸스 팀이 이제 팀이랑 이제 합병하고 이제 같이 이제 동업하게 됐다고 그 말씀이고 이제 그 한 이유는 여기 보면 allow us to scale. 이제 확장성 때문에 이제 이 economies of scale 때문에 물론 이렇게 됐어. We're super excited for the next step of this journey, right? 이제 뭐 얘네들이 이제 앞으로 뭐 밝은 미래 보고 있다고 그 말씀이고. So, this is something that I don't think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to, but for people like me, I'm paying extremely close attention to this kind of stuff, right? Because the implications are very interesting, right? That's why it's important. 이제 보통 사람들이 이거 많이는 안 볼 것 같은데 저희 같은 경우는 이거 엄청 관심이 있어요. 엄청 관심 커요. Because this is going to give us a glimpse into how these projects in Solana are going to proceed in their development and things like that. I'm going to be looking at some of those implications, right? 이제 Solana 새 프로젝트들이 아니면 뭐 현재 프로젝트들이 이제 앞으로 어떻게 개발할 건지 자기 이제 미디 약간 그런 쪽 이제 어떻게 발전할 건지 그런 거 이제 조금 이제 할 수 있으니까 이런 모습 보면 그래서 물론 그런 이제 나중에 어떻게 될 건지 그런 결과도 이제 제가 조금 생각하고 파악하고 이제 같이 이제 공부할 거예요. 전략 짜면서. So I'll tell you some of the things I'll be looking out for, some of the things that I think some interesting insights into what will be happening in Solana. And that's what I think a lot of my subscribers are going to be curious about, right? What does this mean for users? Is that the vaults will continue to run and deliver sustainable yield as they have been since our launch. 이제 얘네들 Tap Finance Vault는 그냥 그대로 이제 진행될 거고 Tap Finance will soon be rebranding to PsyFinance. So here's the rebrand. Now you're seeing, I've noticed with a lot of these protocols, they do a rebranding when they're gonna make like a big move, right? That's what I've noticed with these protocols, right? When they are gonna make a big move, they do a rebrand. And that's very interesting. So you should pay attention to these kinds of moments, right? In a protocol's development, right? It's kind of a big deal, right? You saw things like that with Soul Farm changing to Tulip, right? 이제 예를 들면 이제 옛날에 Soul Farm이 Tulip으로 이제 rebranding 했어요. So, they changed to Tulip and then they had that big push after the rebrand, right? And so, of course, I think part of the motivation for them pumping the token after the rebrand was to draw attention to how far they come as a protocol. I think that was part of the motivation. 이제 과거 이제 보면 이제 튤립 같은 경우는 이제 걔네들이 옛날에 소울 파임이었는데 이제 뭐 "우리는 이렇게 개발했다. 우리 이런 변화가 있었다." 이제 그런 모습을 보여주고 싶으면서 이제 리브랜딩 같은 거 한 거예요, 튤립으로. So, clearly, this is, a pretty major move for something like this to happen in Solana, right? 물론 그런 것 때문에 이런 행동 보면 이제 되게 중요해요. This will include a change in our URLs and facelift for the Tap Finance site. 이제 얘네들 홈페이지도 이제 바뀔 거고, PsyOptions Discord or will be transitioning support community and marketing to the PsyOptions Discord and Twitter handle. 이제 얘네들 이제 PsyOptions Discord하고 Twitter로 이제 합병될 거. Look out for announcements on that shortly. But if you want to head start, you can join PsyOptions here. 이제 PsyOptions 정보 여기 나오고. Bide. So what's next? On the product front, we'll be launching version 2 DOV protocol that will take advantage of PsyOptions tokenized euros architecture. 이제 나중에 이제 그 PsyOptions 그 인프라 사용하면서 이제 다른 vault도 이제 만들 거고, this will increase the capital efficiency. 이제 더 이제 효율적 될 거라고 하고, 이런 것 덕분에 on the business side, we'll be scaling up the team. 이제 확장성 이제 키운다고. If you're located in Asia and interested in building the future of structured products, do drop us a line. 뭐 이제 동양 뭐 개발자들 구하나 봐요, 얘네들. A huge thanks to our community and the countless folks. And the stuff here 이제 뭐 감사하는 거고. So, what should you be thinking again when you see things like this? Like, how should you be interpreting these kinds of events? That's the really important thing. That's the kind of stuff, again, that I like to think about when I choose my investments in Solana. 이제 이런 거 보면서 잘 이제 깊게 생각하면서 이제 그때 이제 많이 고민하고 이제 투자 전략 짜는 거예요. Right? So we'll go over. Actually, we'll go over. I have to look at the Tap Finance Twitter and homepage first, and then I'll go to the implications. 먼저 여기 Tap Finance 트위터하고 홈페이지 보고 그 다음에 여기 제가 준비한 그 연구 보여줄게요. So, automated option strategy vaults. I've been aware of these guys for quite a while. Um, they joined Salon a little bit on the later side, October of last year. 뭐 얼마 안 됐는데 제가 follow한 지 꽤 오래됐어. So I've been following these guys for a while. So you can see their Twitter here. There, most of the stuff is about this recent announcement. 이제 최근 트윗 같은 거 보면 이제 이 합병에 대한 뭐 트윗 많아, right? Now, if you go to their website, now this is the interesting thing, right? You go to their homepage here, 여기 homepage 가면 you can see their vaults here. There's nothing very different from the Katana vaults or the friction vaults or the ribbon vaults. It's all kind of the same, concept. 이제 뭐 여기 홈페이지 보면 탑 파이낸스 이제 홈페이지에 여기 vault 보면 뭐 Katana하고 friction하고 뭐 ribbon이랑 뭐 다 비슷비슷해요. That's the thing about all these protocols is like so much of their stuff is just like extremely similar. Extremely similar. So, from a marketing perspective, right? 이제 마케팅으로 보면 이제 what's the product differentiation? Right, if you know anything about marketing, right, again, that's something that you got to think about as you're developing your investment strategy, right? And what really what does your protocol have that will convince me to put money into it. Like, what makes you so different from 50 other competitors in your category, right? 이제 저희 같은 경우는 이제 투자자니까 저희 입장으로 생각하면 이 product differentiation이 이 차이 이 물건 차이가 무슨 물건 차이 있어요. 그 katana하고 friction하고 ribbon이 뭐 다 똑같으면 이런 fault가. 물론 그런 거 생각하면서 이제 투자해야죠, right? If you can't differentiate yourselves, right, based on your product, you got to have something else that is extremely strong, whether, it be community, right? If you have like a hardcore community or you have some other factor that gives you a clear and distinct advantage over your competition, if you can't show me that, of course I'm not going to invest in your project, right? 물론 그런 거 이제 차이 뭐 그런 강한 점 안 보여주면 저한테 안 보여주면 저는 물론 투자 안 할 거죠. Of course, I'm not gonna invest, right? It's just common sense. It's just common sense, right? So, I'm gonna be very interested to see what the next move from Tap Finance is, right? So they came out with the announcement. I've seen the homepage. I can see what they've built here. 뭐 얘네들이 뭐 여기 홈페이지 가고 뭐 지금까지 개발한 거 여기 다 보이니까 이제 다음 행동, 다음 소식 그런 거 이제 조금 지켜보고 있을 거야. So I'll be looking at the next move that they make, obviously, right? But very interesting, right? 조금 재밌어요. 그런 거 생각하면, right? So this is the homepage. Check it out. Me personally, I'm not really participating in any of these strategies. 개인 적으로 저는 여기에 이제 참가 안 하지만 여기 투자 안 했지만 if you want to check out some of these strategies and you want to participate in some of these strategies, you can do it on the homepage. It's exactly the same as everything else, right? 다른 이 구조적 상품이랑 다 똑같아요. 그냥 여기 지갑 연결하고 여기 입금하고 you just connect your wallet. It's the same as everyone else everywhere else. You just connect your wallet and then you can do this thing here. I'm not going to go into it. If you're interested into this, if you're interested in this, you can do this on your own. It's not too complicated. 뭐 우리 구독자들이 여기 이제 탑 파이낸스 참가하고 싶으면 여기 전략하고 싶으면 다 알아서 여기 들어가고 잘 읽고 투자하세요. Right? 그렇게 복잡하지는 않아요. You can just you can go through this and read this and read what the strategies are and things like that. Right? Um, you know, one thing that, if I had to give advice to these protocols, right, that will attract more investors, right? 이제 얘네들 프로토콜들한테 이제 도움 같은 거 주면 uh, educate, try to educate the people who are investing in your strategies or who are participating in your strategies, right? I like to see things like this. You don't really see these kinds of little uh attention to detail type things in some of these other protocols, right? This is what's going to better educate your investors, and it will make them feel like at least like you're trying to show them like what exactly they're getting into before they participate in these vaults, right? 이제 투자자들 입장으로 생각하면 이런 뭐 쬐끄만 디테일이지만 이제 조금 이제 다른 그 경쟁자랑 조금 차이가 이제 생겨요, 이런 거 보면서, right? I mean, it's not extremely like complicated to, you know, put, add these little types of touches to your product, and if you make it easy to understand, right, the investors will understand better. They'll kind of feel more comfortable, right? And they'll understand better what they're getting into, right? So, you've got to think like about so many different things when you're developing these protocols, right? It's the end user that they have to keep in mind always. 이제 마지막 이제 소유자들은 우리예요, right? We are the consumers, right? We are the consumers, right? So the more trust they can build, right? Whatever they have to do that, right? That will attract the most investors, right? And consumers, right? 이제 얘네들이 이런 거 이제 잘 생각하고 개발해야 돼요, right? I mean, that's the only way you're going to differentiate yourselves from the competition, right? If everything on the homepage looks exactly the same, right? You got to have some kind of selling point, some kind of competitive advantage, right? 이제 경쟁자랑 뭐 이제 뭔가 있어야 돼요. 걔네들이 없는 거 이제 자기가 이제 해야 돼요, right? You got to see what the weaknesses are in your competitors, and then try to um, build your product in a better way, right? So, I'm not a developer, right? 뭐 저는 개발자 아니고 I'm an investor, right? 저는 투자자이고 그래서 those are the things that I'm looking for, as an investor, right? 저는 이제 투자자니까 그런 거 이제 보면서 어, 이제 판단할 거예요, right? So, and anyways, you can check out the homepage here. If you want to check it out and try it out, you can check it out here. 이제 여기 이제 궁금하면 여기 참고하세요. 자 알아서, right? So we'll go to the fun stuff now. 노아님, 오늘 마지막 쉬는 날이니까 어때요? 이 명절 잘 보냈어요? Did you uh, did you have a nice Lunar New Year's? Hopefully all my subscribers they had a nice New Year's, right? 이제 우리 구독자들이 다 좋은 명절 보냈으면 좋겠어. Thank you for coming out. 오늘 나와서 너무 좋아요. 새해 복 많이 받으세요. 새해 복 많이 받으세요. 제가 그 엊그제 제가 친척 큰 집으로 가서 이제 사촌들이랑 다 이제 같이 식사하고 놀았는데 너무 좋았어요. 오랜만에 다 같이 모아서 가족 모임. So I was visiting family. I met my cousins. I had a good time with them too, right? 물론 저도 좋은 시간 보냈어요. Now, we'll go back to the thing that I talked about in my previous broadcast, right? So, in my previous broadcast, I looked at some of these protocols and like what's going on, right? In within these protocols. 전 방송들 잘 봤으면 제가 이제 옛날부터 이런 거 이제 열심히 보고 있었어. So I talked about the PsyOptions IEO, and I talked about how all these protocols kind of relate to each other, right? 이제 얘네들 이제 전체 시장 보면서 이제 그런 이제 이제 행동 같은 거 이제 연구 중이었는데, right? So this is one of the key things that I was looking at. 그 중에 이제 이거 되게 중요한 부분이었어요, right? So, if you look at my last broadcast, I actually said very specifically, right, in my last broadcast, 이제 마지막 방송에 이 제라 이제 소식 나와서 이제 나중에는 어떻게 될 건지 제가 이제 파악했어요. So based on the Zeta announcement, I kind of forecasted, I made a prediction about which direction some of these protocols are gonna go. 이제 이 프로토콜들이 나중에 이제 어떻게 될 건지 제가 이제 파악했어요. Right? I did some very like high level strategy. right? 이제 되게 이제 깊은 이제 이제 어 전략 같은 거 짰어요. Right? So I tried to share some of these insights with my subscribers because they're all investors, right? 우리 구독자들은 다 이제 투자자니까 제가 이제 연구한 거 이제 보여준 거 이제 전달해 준 거, right? So if you look at the broadcast, this last broadcast, right? Zeta made the big move to partner up with Ribbon. Everyone remembers 이제 Zeta 같은 경우가 이제 Ribbon이랑 이제 동업하게 됐으니까 it put every other structured products protocol on Solana in a very interesting position. 이 동업 때문에 이제 PsyOptions이랑 탑파이낸스랑 Friction이랑 뭐 그타랑 다 이제 얘네들 이제 반응했어야 됐어. So these protocols, they clearly, yeah, I mean, they clearly took notice. Like, I mean, if Tap made this move like merely days after I came out with my broadcast about Zeta and the big move with Ribbon, 이제 탑 파이낸스가 이제 그냥 며칠도 안 됐고 이제 그냥 뭐 거의 이제 뭐 하루만 뭐 이틀만 이제 안에 이런 발표가 나왔으면 물론 걔네들이 이거 잘 알고 있어. 똑같이 우리 투자자들처럼. Right? So clear these protocols realize that retail is paying very close attention to these kinds of moves, and like we're watching. We're watching like hawks. We are watching and we're studying, right? 우리 투자자들이 열심히 공부 중인 거 알고 있어, right? So this demonstrates that they know that we are keeping a very close eye on them, and that's very interesting, right? For them to come out with something like this, like just days after I told this to my subscribers, 우리 구독자들한테 이거 이제 말씀 전달하고 바로 이제 그런 발표가 나왔으니까 되게 신기해요. 얘네들이 이제 우리말 이제 우리 이제 행동 보고 있어. So they're watching us. That's the funniest shit about all this. 이제 가장 웃기는 부분은 우리 투자자들이 저처럼 이제 되게 열심히 이제 공부하면서 얘네들 무슨 행동하는지 보면서 걔네들도 똑같이 우리를 이제 보고 있어. 네. That's is very interesting, right? To see that. 그거 이제 그런 모습 보는 거 되게 웃겨요, right? So, you know, I'm gonna go back to my investment thesis, right? 옛날에 제가 이제 Soul's Got Soul 이제 투자 전략 되게 이거 보여줬어. 옛날에, right? I went over my personal investment thesis a very long time ago, right? Um, over here, right? Back in October. What actually when was this? October, yeah. So 작년 이제 10월에 제가 이거 이제 이 투자 전략 짰는데 so these protocols, I think they realize that this is how investors are looking at the market. I think they kind of realize that now, right? They didn't realize it because they weren't paying attention to what I was telling my subscribers last year. 이제 이 프로토콜들이 창립자들이 저희 말 안 듣고 있었어. These guys weren't listening to me last year. They had I don't know what. I think they were just too busy trying to snatch up VC money. In my honest opinion, these dummies, right? Most of these dummies, right? 이제 이 웃기는 창립자들이 그냥 돈만 엄청 벌고 싶어서 저희 같은 말씀을 안 들었어 옛날에는, right? These guys weren't listening to me last year. They were all just raising money from VCs, and we're seeing the consequences of some of their bad moves like now, right? 이제 그런 이제 실수 때문에 이제 이 프로토콜 이제 많이 망했어요. 슬프지만, right? I mean, it's sad, but they're living with the consequences of their actions. 이제 이 창립자들이 이제 실수 때문에 이제 많이 망했어요. So a lot of these protocols, they're never gonna recover. 걔네들 이제 망한 프로젝트들은 회복을 못 해요. It's too late. Those protocols are never gonna bounce back. It's sad, but it's the truth. 이제 슬프지만 그게 사실이에요, right? So, um, as I made this investment thesis, right? I think some of these founders they started listening to me. 이제 이 창립자들이 저의 말 조금 이제 들었어요. Some of them actually kind of listened to me, and they understood the first principles behind my investment thesis. 이제 저희 이제 투자 전략 이제 기본 이제 개념 같은 거 이제 그런 거 이제 들으면서 이제 걔네들이 이제 반응하고 있어요 지금. So these protocols, I think they're kind of responding to what I'm telling my investors, right? Because in the end, these protocols are looking for our money. They're looking for our money, right? 이제 마지막으로는 걔네들이 우리 돈 찾아요. 우리 돈, right? We have the power no matter what they think, right? 이제 우리가 이제 힘이 있는 거예요. 우리 돈이니까, right? So for my subscribers, right? This is going to be a very interesting insight because you see these founders, they're listening to me now. 이제 이 창립자들이 저희 말 이제 천천히 이제 듣고 있어요. So, when you again, when you want to know how I came up with my investment thesis, 이제 저희 투자 전략 이제 짰을 때 가장 중요한 이제 개념이 이거예요. 여기요, right? So all these different protocols, they're just little pieces, right? I mean, they're just little pieces of a puzzle. 이제 퍼즐 중에 그냥 한 조각이에요. But the thing that makes everything work, right? The thing that makes everything work is this base layer at the very bottom here, right? And I like to think about it as Thanos's Infinity Gauntlet. 이제 Thanos 이제 이런 이제 투자 전략 이제 이거 너무 이해 못하면 그냥 이렇게로 생각할 수도 있어요. 그냥 되게 쉽게 설명하면. It's like the Infinity Gauntlet. You need all the little pieces, right? For this gauntlet to bestow power upon the individual. 이제 이 여기 테너스 장갑이 여기 이제 DeFi 프로토콜들이 아니면 뭐 다른 프로토콜이 다 이제 같이 이제 움직여야 같이 이제 이 시너지 있어야 이제 잘 되는 거예요. Alright? The only way for this gauntlet to work, right, is for all the pieces to fit together, right, in the right way. Right? 이제 얘네들이 다 똑바로 들어가야 돼요, 여기에. 각각 여기. Right? So, I think these VCs who had no idea what they're doing, 이제 얘네들이 돌대가리 VC들이 아무것도 모르면서 이제 막 돈 뿌려 다니고 있었는데 I think they're slowly coming to this realization, right? After they failed miserably, right? And I've been shitting on them for months now. 이제 이 돌대가리 VC들이 아무것도 모르면서 막 투자하면서 걔네들이 아무것도 모르는데 걔네들도 이제 천천히 이런 이제 개념 이제 이해하는 것 같아요, right? See, these VCs, they're slowly coming to this realization, right? The founders are slowly coming to this realization, right? Good job, you VCs. You should have listened to me earlier. Good job, founders. You should have listened to me earlier. 이제 창립자들이랑 VC들이 저희 말 옛날부터 들었어야 되는데, I mean, I just wish they listened to me earlier. It's sad that they're coming to this realization like months after the fact. It's sad. 이제 슬퍼요. 이때부터 저희 말씀 들었으면, 저랑 이제 동업하게 됐으면, 제가 훨씬 더 얘네들 프로젝트를 도와줄 수 있었어. I could have developed all these projects way better than these moronic VCs and some of these people involved in their projects, right? But there's nothing I can do about that. It's too late. 뭐 제가 뭐 어쩔 수 없어요. 이미 늦었으니까, right? So hopefully I can continue to advise these VCs and advise these founders. It's 제가 이제 계속 도움 주고 싶어. 도와주고 싶어. 얘네들 불쌍한 애들. 걔네들이 아무것도 모르니까, right? These guys don't know what they're doing. So I'm always here for them to give them constructive criticism and give them advice, right? Now, we're going to move on because the next implication of something like this, right? 이제 그 다음 결과 이제 궁금하면 여기 봐야 돼요. 여기 봐야 돼요, right? So what's the relationship to the Solana funding dilemma and this recent announcement from PsyOptions and Tap Finance? 이제 PsyOptions하고 Tap Finance 이런 발표하는데 이 funding이랑 무슨 관련이 있어? There's a huge implication, and this is the one of the most interesting things you got to understand about an announcement like this. 이제 거의 이제 가장 중요한 결과예요. 이런 발표 이제 보면, right? Everyone knows these I just said it 2 minutes ago. 2분 전에 제가 말씀했어요. VCs once again proving themselves to be completely incompetent and untrustworthy. 이제 이 돌대가리 VC들이 아무것도 모르고 절대 믿을 수가 없어. They can't even manage their own money. 자기 돈도 관리 못하고. So you certainly should not trust them or any VC-led DAOs as the narrative shift. 이제 요즘에 유행이 DAO예요. 근데 유행이 DAO이지만 이제 VC들이 다 이제 DAO 만든 거예요. It's all smoke and mirrors. 걔네들이 다 사기치는 거예요. 얘네들이 DAO 샬라샬라 하면서 실제로는 이 DAO들이 그냥 다 VC 돈이에요. It's all controlled by VCs. There's no difference, in practice when it comes to DAOs and the previous models. 이제 전 모델이랑 차이가 없어요. 뭐 DAO여든지 아니면 뭐 VC여든지 다 똑같아요. It's all the same bullshit. And that's the truth, right? And why am I saying this? 뭐 제가 이런 말 왜 해요? Look at the thing that Mabel tweeted. Mabel is if you saw my old videos, right? She's involved with Multicoin and she sits on the Solana Labs 어 board, right? 이제 메이버 같은 경우는 이제 멀티코인에 큰 관심이 있고 멀티코인 사람이고 이제 동시에 솔라나 사람이에요, right? So if this is something you is very interesting. 되게 재밌어. Treasury management will be a big sub theme in 2022. I used to question lightly on the demand for fixed rate structured products, but they are absolutely needed as the DAO is getting more sophisticated with their long term treasury management. Have some names in mind, but shout out yours. 이거 그냥 쉽게 설명하면 이 이제 개발자들이 창립자들이 얘네들 돈을 관리 못해요. 스스로 자기 돈을 관리 못해요. These protocols, they don't know how to manage their money. They're just bleeding money left and right. It's because they don't know what they're doing. They're incompetent. That's why I said that they're very incompetent people. 이제 걔네들이 자기 돈도 관리 못하는데 물론 걔네들이 아무것도 모르죠. 돌대가리이죠. 아무것도 모르는 놈들이죠. 물론, right? And that's the truth, right? I have to say it. I have to say 이제 사실대로 얘기해야 돼요. 저희 같은 경우는, right? So, will these DAOs help them when they manage, right, their funds? The vast majority will not. If I just had to make a prediction right now, 이제 이런 DAO 이제 얘네들 이제 이야기를 이제 DAO로 이제 바뀌는데 실제로 얘네들이 DAO 뭐 그런 샤라샤라 하면서 뭐 큰 변화 있을 건지 이제 궁금하면 없을 거예요. 개인 의견이에요. I'm just telling you straight up, there's not going to be no real change behind funding and managing their funds, right? And treasuries, 걔네들 금고 뭐 관리 뭐 샬샬 하면서 뭐 다 이제 헛소리예요. 이건 뭐 아무 효과 없을 거라고 생각합니다. 개인적으로는, right? And that's the truth, right? So, the funding dilemma has yet to be solved. The funding dilemma has yet to be solved in Solana. However, you are seeing a shift in how these protocols are looking to be funded. And that is the very interesting implication of this. 다시 말씀할게요. 얘네들이 지금까지 이 창립자들이 VC들한테 이제 달려갔는데 이 발표 보면 이제 조금 변화가 조금 있어요. 얘네들이 탑 파이낸스 VC들한테 안 갔고 시드 라운드 발표도 안 했고 PsyOptions가 이제 M&A 했어요. So it's basically an M&A, right? It is a merger and acquisitions, right? And it's one of the big ones that we've seen. It's one of the bigger ones that we've seen. So what does this mean for the direction of funding in Solana? It means that more and more these protocols are realizing themselves that VCs are not to be trusted, right? Because there's people like me who are coming out and showing them all the stuff about Solana VCs and how they're trying to fuck the founders, right? 이제 이 창립자들이 똑똑한 똑똑한 창립자들은 저희 이런 아니 생각해 봐요. 저희 이런 동영상 올리면 걔네들이 이제 똑똑한 창립자들이 이거 보고 엄청 놀라죠. They like the smart founders in Solana, they realize, oh geez, like this guy is actually telling the truth. These VCs have no idea what they're doing whatsoever. We have no reason to trust these VCs. We better not screw up our projects like all these other disasters in Solana, right? So the smart ones, they have been actually listening to me. That's the interesting thing, right? They are smarter than the rest of the pack. 이제 똑똑한 창립자들은 이런 거 보고 이제 어느 정도 이제 인정하고 이제 이렇게 이제 다른 방향으로 갔어요. So they went the other way, right? They went in a different direction. 이제 다른 방향으로 갔어요. So will this be a better way to solve the funding dilemma? 이제 이런 이제 M&A 방식으로 이제 이런 데서 이제 펀딩 할 때 그게 이제 정답이에요? 그건 잘 모르겠어요. Yeah, there's no, guarantees in crypto, right? 이제 크립토에는 보장 같은 거 없어. You just gotta wait and see what happens as a result of these kinds of moves, right? 이제 결과 이제 봐야 돼요. 이제 파악하기 전에, right? So, but again, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see these founders adapting. Some of them are adapting, right? 어떤 이제 창립자들은 이제 적응 중이에요, right? So it clearly tells me some of these protocols realize like, uh-oh, we can't just keep on doing this weird VC shit because the VCs just want to control us and fuck us. So we got to find some other solution to this issue, right? So they're trying something else. So I do applaud Tap Finance for that, right? I think they realized they saw my old video and they're like, oh shit, like this guy is like saying some real shit. Like, better do something drastic if we want to survive as a project, right? 이제 얘네들이 이제 조금 똑똑해요. 제가 이제 이 동영상 올렸을 때 아마 이거 봤었고 적응한 거예요. So, shout out to the Tap Finance team for being very, ahead of the rest of the other teams in Solana when they make moves like this. This is a move for their long-term longevity, right? 이제 긴 시간을 이제 장기로 이제 얘네들이 이제 잘 되고 싶으니까 이런 행동한 거예요. Um, it's basically like it's like a balance of power that's playing out in Solana. 이제 우리 구독자들이 balance of power 이제 개념 모르면 이제 국제 관계 공부하신 분들 있으면 so if you studied international relations, you know that balance of power politics, right? These actors, right? They balance out, right? They kind of get together to have strength in numbers when you have uh, um, uh, a one singular power that has grown too strong. 이제 한 분이 너무 이제 세졌으면 너무 커졌으면 이제 다들 이제 같이 이제 작은 애들이 다 같이 이제 움직여요. 왜냐면 얘네들이 이제 한 각각으로 움직이면 힘이 없으니까 이제 다 같이 이제 합병하면서 이제 움직이는 거. So it's the smart move. Is it the smart move for Tap Finance? Absolutely yes. This was the right move. It was the smart move, right? So 이제 이런 이제 발표하는데 이제 궁금하면 이제 좋은 이제 행동인지 from a strategic perspective, yes, it was the smart move. 이제 전략으로 보면 물론 이제 이 맞는 행동이었어. So it makes total sense from a strategic perspective, right? Now, uh, when it comes to funding, right? I don't know exactly what's going to happen. After this, right? 이제 펀딩 이제 문제가 있는데 뭐 나중에 뭐 어떻게 될 건지 저도 잘 몰라요. 저도 잘 몰라요, right? But I need to tell my subscribers like, how have these protocols been managing their treasuries, right? 이제 이 프로토콜들이 자기 이제 금고 자기 돈을 어떻게 관리했는지 even the VCs, right? I'm gonna and see what the VCs have been doing as well. 이제 물론 VC들도 자기 돈 관리했는지 잘 관리했는지 보여줄 거야, right? So this is just my personal opinion. 이제 이건 그냥 저의 개인 의견이에요. I will be criticizing Solrise, of course. 이제 물론 Solrise도 이제 비판할 거, right? I think my subscribers they think because I've endorsed Solrise, I'm a megaphone for Solrise. I've criticized them many times on my broadcast. 이제 Solrise 같은 경우도 실수 많이 했어요. I criticized them for their stupid MeanFi shit. They decided to partner with MeanFi, and I gave them a lot of shit for them. I went straight to their Discord and I shat on the developers there. 제가 이제 얘네들이 MeanFi랑 이제 실수해서 제가 Discord 직접 가서 이제 비판했어요. I went straight to their Discord. You can go to their Discord, go back, right? Or ask their developers. I gave them a lot of heat, right, for their MeanFi partnership, right? They did not conduct their due diligence whatsoever when it came to that move. 이제 그 행동은 되게 큰 실수였어, right? So, when these founders when they think of ideas like this, right? 이 창립자들이 이런 거 이제 생각하고 like what do I think about these kinds of like charity type promotions? 이제 이런 이제 마케팅 같은 거 이제 하고 싶으면 제가 어떻게 생각하는지 궁금하면 I'm just going to ask my subscribers this question, right? If I told my subscribers I were running a charity promotion, right? Or collecting funds for charity, would they believe my intentions were altruistic, right? That's a very interesting question, right? 뭐 이런 뭐 자선 뭐 그런 거 이제 그런 이제 프로모션 같은 거 이제 하면 우리 구독자들이 저를 어떻게 생각할 것 같아요. Right? Just imagine if you're a Souls Got Soul uh, community member and I suddenly started running some kind of charity promotion, right? My subscribers would think it's a cash grab 100%. They would not think I was being altruistic whatsoever. This type of shit, this all you see this in crypto all the time. Right? 이제 크립토에 이런 거 엄청 자주 봐요. 이 자선 단체 같은 거 이제 그런 이상한 짓 많이 봐요. Right? 개인적으로는 저는 이런 자선 같은 거 진짜 싫어요. I don't like to see any of this kind of stupid charity bullshit. Charity is a private matter. 이 자선 같은 건 이제 개인 일이에요. 자기가 이제 개인으로 이제 돈 주고 싶으면 이제 뭐 가난한 사람들한테 아니면 뭐 필요하는 사람들한테 돈 주고 싶으면 그분들한테 직접 그냥 비공개로 주고 뭐 굳이 이런 뭐 발표하면서 뭐 다른 사람한테 알려줄 필요가 없어요. You have no reason to be running these kinds of retarded charity type things. I don't like to see this kind of BS 99% of the time in crypto. 이제 크립토에 이런 말 들으면 저는 진짜 의심 많고 별로 안 믿어요. Like again, it's I don't like to see this. 이런 거 보는 거 별로 안 좋아. So Sino came out. They have their other thing that they came out with. They're doing some kind of charity thing as well. 얘네들도 뭐 이 똑같은 이제 자선 뭐 이런 샬라샬라 하는데 VCs, I mean, it's ironic that you hear this kind of bullshit coming from a VC. 이제 VC들이 이런 개소리 하면서 되게 아이러니가 되게 커요. VCs are in crypto to make money. They are not in crypto to be philanthropists. And that is the truth. VC들 웃기는 놈들이 걔네들이 이제 돈 벌고 싶으니까 이제 여기 이제 크립토에 이제 시딩 하는 거예요. 얘네들이 뭐 사람 도와주고 싶다고 그런 개소리는 그냥 무시해요. 그냥 듣지 마요. 그냥 아예 이런 거 보면. Ignore this kind of stupid shit. Same thing with Solrise. This to me is they're trying to spin some positive PR after all their shit that I exposed about them, right? 이제 제가 이제 최근에 걔네들한테 되게 세게 이제 비판했으니까 얘네들이 이제 더 좋게 보이고 싶으니까 이런 뭐 샤라샤라 하는데 저희 입장으로는 개인 의견으로는 so it doesn't convince me that they're good people in any way, shape, or form. 얘네들이 뭐 좋은 사람이라고 뭐 그런 이제 뭐 제가 이제 걔네들 명예 이제 시키고 싶어서 절대 뭐 그런 생각 그렇게 생각하지 않아요. 저희 같은 경우는, right? The second mistake a lot of these founders make 이제 두 번째 큰 실수는 look at this announcement here. Like 여기 보세요. Solrise Dawn Phase 3, 50% of rewards have been distributed, and they dropped a lot of Solrise the other day. 엊그제 이거 엄청 많이 이제 드랍했어요. Now, here's the thing with sometimes these kinds of drops work. 이제 어떤 데는 이런 드랍이 잘 되고 어떤 데는 이런 드랍이 잘 안 돼요. So, if you're curious like what happened, like I checked, like I saw this announcement. 물론 제가 이거 보고 저희 지갑 확인했어요. So I checked my uh, wallet and I think it was yesterday. I saw that I got like it was like a big like chunk of Soul Rise for free. They dropped a lot of Soul Rise. Like I got like 600 Soul Rise or something like that. 이제 600개 받았어. 얘네들이 드랍해 줬어. For the people who were staking a lot of Soul Rise. 이제 Soul Rise staking 많이 하는 분들한테만 이제 많이 줬어 이렇게. Right? So they dropped a lot of Soul Rise to the long-term stakers, right? So obviously, I immediately just put it into staking as well, right? I put all of that Solrise into Solrise staking. 물론 저희 같은 경우는 이런 거 이제 airdrop 받고 바로 그냥 제 스테이킹 했어요. 여기에. So you can see I put the 600 Solrise right immediately into staking here, right? Now, um, Was this a good move? Based on the price action, it was not a good move. 얘네들이 이제 이런 이제 행사 같은 거 했는데 잘 됐는지 궁금하면 이거 가격 조치 보면 so yesterday when they dropped the SOL rise, the vast majority of the people that they gave the SOL rise to, they immediately dumped. It was like a massive dump of the SOL rise that they distributed. 이제 얘네들이 나눠준 SOL rise 거의 이제 사람들이 다 바로 덤핑했어요. So it was a massive dump. Like the pretty much the vast majority of people dumped their SOL rise, right? You can see here, right? This was the candle, I think. 예, 이거였어. 여기 보면, right? So, to the SOL rise team, I think they realize like they can't do this kind of stuff, right? Because most of the community members, apparently, or most of the people who they dropped this to, they immediately dumped this, right? 이제 대부분 그냥 바로 이제 받자마자 그냥 덤핑했어요. So people like George have been saying, right? The community is unreliable. 이제 어떤 솔라나 창립자들이 커뮤니티 못 믿는다. 믿을 수가 없다. Right. So I can understand where they're coming from when I see things like this and it backfires on the founders. Right. So, what should they do? 이제 저는 이제 어느 정도 이해해요. 만약에 이런 거 보면 얘네들 이제 커뮤니티한테 이제 공짜로 이제 이렇게 많이 줬는데 사람들이 많이 덤핑했어요. You don't know exactly the people in your community who are trustworthy as a founder, of course. 이제 물론 이제 창립자들 입장으로 보면 얘네들 이제 애 중에 누가 믿을 수 있어? It's very hard for them to determine that, right? 얘네들이 이제 그거 이제 그 파악하기가 되게 어려워요, right? But here's the thing: if you are a good founder, you will find people in your community who are trustworthy and you will entrust those members of your community. That's not a job for the investors. It's not a job for the community. It's a job for these founders. It's a job for these VCs. They've got to be working together to find good people in the community who they can trust and who have, you know, um, integrity to partner up with them as representatives of their respective communities. 이제 얘네들 이제 창립자들 일이고 VC들 일이에요. 이제 커뮤니티 중에 어떤 사람들 믿을 수 있어. One of the things that's very unique about Solana, I think, is it's such a new chain. So there hasn't been a lot of time for people in the Solana community to build a reputation and to show these founders in Solana, these VCs, like who in the community can actually be trusted, right? There hasn't been a lot uh, of that around because it just recently kind of had a breakout moment. 이제 Solana 같은 경우는 이제 커뮤니티에 뭐 그렇게 막 시간이 없었어요. 이제 어, 키울 시간이 없었어, right? But I think the good VCs in the future, they're clearly probably seeing who they can trust, right? Who are the people who they can trust, right? So hopefully they have good decision making skills. 뭐 얘네들이 이제 잘 아마 지켜보고 있었을 거예요. 이제 커뮤니티에 어떤 사람들 믿을 수 있는지, right? So hopefully they have good decision making skills. They can find reputable people to uh, further their brands, right, in the markets that they want to expand to and things like that, right? That's their job, right? 이제 얘네들 일이 이제 진짜 이 어떤 사람 커뮤니티에 이제 ambassador 이제 대사들 이제 선택할 때 어떤 사람들 진짜 믿을 수 있는지 믿을 만한 사람인지 얘네들이 잘 찾아야 돼요. 걔네들 일이에요, right? That's a job for the founders. That's a job for the VC. So hopefully they take responsibility and they do the right thing. 걔네들이 뭐 알아서 잘 하겠죠, right? So again, um, you might think this was not some big thing, but it is a very big thing to me. So those are the things my subscribers should be paying attention to and thinking about, and hopefully they'll learn something valuable from this announcement. 이제 우리 구독자들이 뭐 다른 사람들이 뭐 이거 뭐 큰 발표 아니라고 생각할 수 있지만 우리 구독자들은 더 똑똑하고 더 좋은 이제 지혜로운 투자자들이니까 이런 거 잘 생각하세요. 투자하면서, right? Um, 일억벌기님 안녕하세요. 사람도 오늘 많이 없네요. 오후 이거 이제 다들 아 놀고 있으니까 오르카 콥에 상장 안 됐네요. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I'll take this last question and then I'll finish. 이 마지막 질문 하나 받고 끝날게요. I did hear about the Orca Coinbase thing. I heard like they were listing some SPL tokens. 이제 Coinbase 같은 경우는 이제 아 뭐 Orca나 뭐 다른 SPL 토ken 뭐 상장한다고 그렇게 말씀했는데 let's take a look. Let me see what they. I'll take this last question and then I'll finish. 이 마지막 질문 받고 끝날게요. Uh, where's the Coinbase? I heard something about that in here. Okay, here it is. Orca has begun its first day of trading on Coinbase Pro. Let's check out Coinbase Pro. Coinbase Pro 한번 볼게요. Is it on Coinbase? Oh, it is on Coinbase. 1억 벌기님 여기 코인베이스에 상장됐어요. 여기 보니까 it is on Coinbase. I guess it was on Coinbase. Ooh, what happened? Huge dumps immediately after the listing. 그냥 바로 이제 상장 후 엄청 큰 덤핑이 있었네요. What did it go from? Went from $4 to almost down to like 3 something. 4. Okay, so there's a dump and then I guess it's finding its some stability here. 뭐 3불 64센트에 뭐 이제 여기 있네요, 지금. Yeah, it's on Coinbase. I mean, it's on Coinbase. So I think maybe your information is wrong. 1억 벌기님 여기 보는데 여기 orca가 여기 코인베이스에 있으니까 다시 확인하세요. You should check here. One of my subscribers was asking like the Coinbase listing was canceled, but it's on Coinbase from what I can tell. 여기 보면 Coinbase에 있어요, 지금. Yeah, it's on Coinbase, I think, as far as I can tell. 제가 알고 있는 건 여기 있어요. All right. So there's no questions today. I mean, this is not the normal time that I broadcast. 제가 원래 방송하는 시간은 아니니까 아마 다들 놀고 있을 거예요. 지금 명절 마지막 날이니까. So it's the last day of the Lunar New Year vacation for those of us in Korea. So I don't think there's a lot of people. It's not my normal broadcast time. But for the people who tuned in, thank you. I will be broadcasting on the next one, and I'll see you guys then. For the people tuned in now, Noah and 일억벌기님, and the other people who showed up, thank you very much. 이제 우리 구독자들 노아 일억벌기님 나왔으니까 너무 감사하고 마무리 잘해요. 명절 잘 보내고 마지막 날. Have a great last day of this nice vacation that we've all been enjoying. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great day. 다 좋은 하루 보내세요. See you guys next time. 다음에 봬요.